Hello. Oh, I can't hear myself. Thirst. You have a fantastic thirst for being first. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh dear. I'm actually gonna have to stop the stream and open OBS again. But you were first today, so we'll give you that, Ernst. Whoop whoop whoop. Hang on. There, smooth. That's a smooth start to the stream right there. Really smooth. And hey, look, Ernst is still first, even after a stream restart. Wow, it's been a while since I've actually done a stream, hasn't it? Last time was not last Sunday, but the Sunday before that. So good morning, Ernst, Sayaka, Mookie MC. Yeah, that's right, we're doing part 2 of Deus Diabolus. Oh my gosh, I'm rusty. Diabolus Ex Machina. Ah, yeah, we're off to a good start with today's stream. Two streams in one day. Yes, I survived New Zealand. I came back with happy memories and a slightly sore throat. New Zealand is so pretty. It's I think it's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to. There are some really nice sights. It's easier to get around too. I went to the South Island. There are two islands in New Zealand, and I went to the South Island. And we saw snow, we saw alpine regions, we saw glaciers, fjords. What else did we see? A lot of sheep. Um, a lot of sheep. Beaches, forests. It was just a crazy mix. I'll put some photos into Discord a bit later this afternoon. I'll email them to myself and put them up. But it's very, very pretty country. See what ice imported to Australia. We could use some more ice. We're a very dry country. New Zealand is not dry. Not dry at all. New Zealand make, let me bring this up. Hang on. How do I do this without? Whoop, 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 whoop. One of the things New Zealand is really famous for is... hang on, that doesn't prove anything. Yeah, it's Manuka honey. Which I bought some of, and it contains, like, there's this whole trademark thing about what is Manuka honey. It started in New Zealand and also independently in Tasmania. It's a type of honey that's produced with some sort of natural plant that the bees collect their pollen from, and it contains this thing called methylglyoxal. Methylglyoxal. Ha! Look, you're getting a science lesson today. But this is a compound that, depending on who you ask, has a whole range of medical applications that range from like mild antibacterial to it will cure everything that you can throw at it. And the truth is probably more on the first camp. It's like this mildly beneficial compound. And this honey is naturally abundant in methylglyoxal. So you add it to tea, and with the already sweet addition of a lovely minion, it will soothe any sore throat that can potentially stop me from streaming. And there are lots of other things that are New Zealand specific too, but I think this is an interesting one because I like bees. I did my master's project on bees. Yeah, I was just wondering, what is a UMF factor? I don't know. It's UMF factor. Unique Manuka factor is a grading system developed by the New Zealand Association of Honey, or Honey Association in New Zealand. High UMF. Okay, so they've just made like some sort of artificial grade. Cool. It tastes, the honey tastes a bit medicinal. It's got a fairly, I wouldn't say bland honey flavor. Ooh, hello. So, sorry, Ernst. We'll get to your story in a second. I'm talking about bees here, okay? This is why we tune in to Lyrebird Edits. It's got a slightly medicinal taste to it underneath the... it's an okay honey kind of taste. That was my voice just giving out then with a little... kind of pop there. Why don't we start the stream? I've waffled enough about New Zealand and bees. I'll show you New Zealand in Discord a bit later. So Maxim, a third-rate actor with daddy issues, is framed for murder by an unknown person. He ends his show by opening a coffin, and the body falls out on stage. He flees to the circus, where this story starts. I remember we got up to a scene where Maxim was contacting his, I suppose, circus runaway contact through a phone booth. And then a police officer comes. We might do a little recap before we get to where we were left off last time. Maxim's father was quite absent in his life and went missing in the Congo at some point. All Maxim knows of his death was told to him via a postcard featuring an elephant. In fact, that was one of my favourite parts of part 1. Oh, this is continued. Okay, cool. So, right, so this is part 2. Now I wonder if I can't find part 1, just so we can have a little recap. Or maybe Ernst, if you could send it to me. Again. Part 1. Oh, no, I've got it. All good. Got it. Right here. Very nice. How have you guys been? Sorry, I've been very rude, just blabbing on about myself and Manuka honey. Tell me a fun fact in your life that's happened to you over the past two weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. Tell me something fun. Tell me something interesting. Tell me something fake. Remaining unemployed. Oh, you could be a struggling novelist. That's an employment. Ah, yeah, I will. This is a bit under 6k, so 5.5k words. And part 2 that we're dealing with will be... ooh, 6.5, nice. So it ends up a nice, even... 13? Oh, I hope I didn't get that very wrong. Wait, 6 plus 11. Oh, it's 12. Oh. Lyrebird Edits, PhD student, can't add 6.5 and 5.5 together. So, last time we got up here... I don't remember making that promise, real psycho. This fact that you've presented to us has conveniently escaped my memory. I got beat up by a 27-word story that repeated shit 23 times. Yeah, that sucks. Like, you know that feeling where you try hard for something, and then someone comes in with, like, minimal effort, and just, bleh, all overs your work. Yeah, I'm sorry that happened. I'm sorry, Outrider SG. That kind of sucks. But, take heart knowing that, like, the competition probably wasn't... how to put this? if that's the caliber of the winner, then it's kind of like, you don't even care if you don't win. That's a good way of looking at it, like a silver lining. I don't trust you, Psycho. Um, Let me turn myself down. I can hear myself too much. That's better. Good. Now, let's read from here. Actually, let's start the stream. Just ludicrous, yeah. Keep at it. Eventually, you'll stumble upon a competition that's on your wavelength, and you'll feel validated when you win it, as opposed to feeling like cheated almost when you enter a competition that's a bit like, yeah, you know what I mean. 23 times, really? That kind of sucks, doesn't it? I'm just repeating a swear over and over. Art. Um, yeah. Hmm. Oh, was this the Australian Riders competition? Oh, that reflects badly on me. Let's start on we'll read through a little bit of Maxim's last part of this story. Ernst gave us a really good summary here, and then we'll flip over to part 2. So, among the serene nightscape of Hyde Park. Actually, I'll read from here. This is the end of the telephone booth scene. In a moment of mental dissociation, adrenaline, and bodily fluids, I make my escape. The events transpire in photo montage. My hand finds the bottle. A stream of the bottle's contents find the officer's face. My hand finds his baton. His baton finds his forehead. My eyes find the gleeful eyes of the punk. My feet find the pavement. I find myself running for the first time in a decade. Just a really quick comment here. This is the most clever part of this whole thing here, because it changes the inflection of the action. His baton finds his forehead as opposed to I hit him. So that passive switch is really clever. And I think I commented here another one-line zinger to end the scene. I like this a tiny bit more. Not another connection with a semicolon on, but like a full stop, blah, full stop. Among the serene nightscape of Hyde Park, where oaks of yore sway and critters crit, where starlight glows and rabbits flit, lays a wheezing beast of sweat and grit. It's me. The greeting question is I love that. It's the greeting question is not that of brave character, but of gravel lodged in one's arm after a failed hard right. My lungs are kazoos and I'm face down on the dewy grass because my primitive brain remembers something about there being more oxygen down low. I can see the headline now. Failed actor kills rival, assaults hero policeman with own urine. Maxim, the idiot, you are done for. Maxim, the detective, asks, but who really done it? Backstage Bryce has the best access to the coffin, but why? I doubt he even knew Richard Van Oppenheimer. And as slimy as the man was, Richie Rich was hardly one to engage in activities of the mafioso. There was intent. Of all places, the body was set up to appear in my show. That shows intent, but who hates me enough to frame me for murder? Okay, so a handful of people. There was that skinny German tig with the knitted skirt who I owed a penny or two for stage hire for Baghdad. But no, this was murder. Premeditated, cold-blooded murder of the first degree. There's a plan for everything, my dear boy. Good God, would Stanley kill someone over a shit review? Was that what he meant? Surely not. I had many a shit review. What are the rumours of Hilda Bollinger's husband? He's bold enough to wine and dine a petroleum magnate's wife, but to return for desserts? Fatal? But why the coffin? There are no answers, but one, I am innocent. But due to the night's stupidity, I am guilty until proven otherwise as far as the law will be concerned. Whoever orchestrated this symphony of sorrow intends to have me framed and locked away like a Picasso. So what would the smart man do? What is Maxim the intellect's solution? Why, there is only one, of course. Join the circus. Wait for the investigation to clear your name, write a hit play about your experiences, spend the rest of time sipping exotic wines on the Spanish coast. Yes, that would be quite good indeed. I'll call it Diabolus Ex Machina, Maxim the Intellect Indeed. I won't, I won't do any more edits of that section. I'll just sort of plow straight into this one. So, don't start the email, I'll become useless. No. No, 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 no. You've given plenty of good suggestions, Real Sayaka. Andy. I'm gonna turn myself up again so I can hear. There we go. Like myself, the Dwell Big Top looks a bit weary in the morning sun. Its opening is flooded. Its opening is flopped open like a dead fish's mouth. Excuse me, 1 second. I'm having trouble reading this, and I don't know why. Oh, that's why. It's because it's 14 font. Good, good, good. Well, I'll zoom out a little bit and read it. Like myself, the Dwell Big Top looks a bit weary in the morning sun. Its opening is flopped open like a dead fish's mouth, with a complimentary stench wafting over from the unemptied bins. A man whose neck skin looks eel-like from faded tattoos wanders aimlessly between discarded popcorn boxes and cola cans with a pair of tongs. He extracts a cigarette butt from between his lips like it's a tick and tosses it, stomping it into the soggy topsoil. I avoid eye contact. With careful steps, I dodge puddles and make my way to the tent's rear. On the way, I spot a tan crust on the side of a tent that is almost certainly vomit. On the other side, excuse me. On the other side of one of those infernal laughing clown sideshows, I find a shantytown constructed from a cluster of caravans, tents, and lorries. Clotheslines run between car windows, where leotards dry next to socks and jeans. A wooden caravan from the last century stands painted purple and green, advertising palm readings and tarot fortunes from a one Madame Arabelle. It seems as if most people are still sleeping in their makeshift dwellings, but the odd person roams around. A muscly lump of a man stands stark naked on a greasy patch, pouring small measures of bottled water upon his head while scrubbing with a loofah. No running water? There's even a fire flaring away and a genuine oil drum. Don't crucify me. I've checked into the entertainer's resort many a time, but the scene is one UN Medi truck away from disaster relief. I'll read a little more and then I'll come back and comment on the top. Yes, the minion is out. It's feeding me cancer curing manuka honey. Mm. Excuse me. A laminated paper arrow points me in the direction of the office, which consists of a stepladder leading into a Dual brand semi-trailer. The interior, which is craftily separated into rooms, with dressers and room dividers like them, a mansion compared to the rest of the makeshift dwellings. Far down the other side, I see the glow of a lamp. Okay, I'll stop there because we're about to get into dialogue. One thing I want to double check before we get too deep is, oh, just paste that in there. So we've already established that the circus's name is DeWall or Deval. Big top. Other thing I wanted to check. Okay, that's what I assumed. Everyone's probably familiar with a big top, but without actually knowing what it's called. This is a bit of a tricky thing. Like, if someone showed me this, I'd know instantly what it was, but I wouldn't know its specific name. And that leads us into a problem of, do we go for the technical term, big top, or do we want to describe it as it actually is, and then in a second sentence, work with it? So I think I'm actually not sure about this one, because me personally, I don't have an idea about whether people know what a big top is. Help me out here, faithful watchers. Did you know what a big top was before I showed you a photo of it? Because one solution to this would be to... This is the technical... This is the technical name. This is something that I wager almost everyone has seen once before in their lives, but probably doesn't know the technical name of. Maybe? So in a subsequent sentence, you can describe it as it actually is, and then that way, if readers don't know what it is, they can retroactively fit the name to the image. That suffers a little bit from the whole black bag, Scarface's parrot problem that we talk a lot about on the stream. But it's actually not a bad way of soothing in technical terms, and this is a really good tip for science fiction as well. If you're creating a universe in which you're introducing a new element or object or concept or weapon or technique, and it's intuitive to the structure of the world, but your reader has no experience with it, plonk its name down in the context of a sentence that makes sense in the world, and then in a subsequent sentence explain what it is. So, for instance, I'll take an example from Altered Carbon, which is the Netflix series. I don't have Netflix, I just saw it last week, where they talk about sleeves. So, Marcel took the sleeve from her pocket and handed it over to me. Wow, an actual sleeve. I hadn't seen one of these in years, blah blah blah. The coin-sized disc felt smooth in my hand, and I stuck it in my Palm computer, and up came the professor's brain scan. So you then have an idea as a reader of what the sleeve is. It's the technical name for a very complicated brain scan thing. You can do the same thing for regular objects, but this may just be me being stupid, because I don't know. Didn't recognize that. Minugadi didn't cure my meme addiction. You gotta rub more of it into your eyeballs. Just like take a good like 3-fingered scoop of Manuka honey and just scour those eyeballs. Just get the top layer off. HTTLACC. Oh. Ah, there you go. Good. Okay, well that's really interesting then. I think I was like 70% there as well, but not quite. I don't know what was holding me back. Maybe the fact that I haven't had enough Manuka honey, or maybe the fact that my skin is itchy and irritated, especially around the chin, on account of the lame razors I've been using. I wonder if there's a way for me to, without purchasing too many razors at any specific period in time, and without spending more than, say, $1, if I could refine my shave. But sadly, we don't live in that world. I'll just clarify it. Okay, cool. So we got Mookie TTLACC on board, good. Outrider knows what it is, but might benefit from seeing building descriptions of its tree carpet against grey skies. Cool. Yep. Nice. You just rub some Manuka honey on this story. Ooh, what's your solution, Outrider SG? Tell me. I'm all ears. Cool. I'm sorry if I beat that point into submission there. It's yeah, but it's a nice general point that we can talk about. Simple solution, just in this sentence here, just massage the information in a little more. I like the smell annotation that you put here. It's a really strong emotional image that you get from that. The $5 Shave Club. $5 Shave Club. Hmm. Is there something that you can suggest that might be specifically like $4 cheaper than the $5 Shave Club? How much Manuka honey do I get with my $5 Shave Club subscription? A man whose neck skin looks eel-like from faded tattoos wanders aimlessly between discarded popcorn boxes and cola cans with a pair of tongs. Tiny suggestion here. Maybe instead of saying looks like or looks eel-like, a man with the neck of. It's like no, it's fine, it's fine. You can massage that into another form, but because we've got eel-like, it's hard to remove that like from the eel. He extracts a cigarette from between his lips, like the dick, and tosses it, stomping it into the soggy topsoil. I avoid eye contact with careful steps. I dodge puddles and make my way into the tent's rear. On the way, I spotted a tan crust on the side of a tent. They just almost instantly vomit. Um, just a little clarification here. I find a shanty town. One thing that I noticed about this opener is that because we crash very heavily into it from the last scene, which is where we have Maxim in the park, and then immediately it's bam, he's at the circus. One of the things that I immediately want to know about this scene is not so much. Oh, hang on, I'll let my dog out. One sec. Okay, so it's not so much that I haven't got an image of the scene. It's more the case that there's a bit of a um, due to that really hard crash in from one scene to the next. I'm not sure when he arrives at the circus whether or not it's full of people or it's hang on a second. Whether it's full of people or whether it's after hours. Like I kind of get the feeling it is after hours. I like that notion to be a little stronger as you go into this because if it's too subtle, I'm I'm sort of constantly reconfiguring the scene as it pushes forward. We see two characters here, Eel Boy and Naked Bro, um, and then as we are introduced to them visually, I'm sort of reminded and updated that this is kind of like an after hours scene, but something at the very start to help ease that idea in would make the transition from Maxim walking into the scene and experiencing this sort of empty, almost ghosted kind of circus tent environment a bit smoother, especially, and the reason why I'm talking about this and not just making a tiny note about it is because of that hard crash into the scene. I feel like it needs to be very tight, and we need to go into a new scene, a fresh scene, with a solid expectation of what we're going to see as the paragraph unfolds, rather than having it tumble forward onto itself. Let me just go back and have a little... Oh no! I can't see anything above here. My Twitch chat is off. Why is it not off? Oh, all good. TTLICC raises a good point about the eel-like. Yeah. Ooh, that's good. That's not a bad suggestion at all. Skin that rides like eels. TTLICC's point is whether or not it's a texture or if it's an image. Who looks eel-like from painted tattoos? You could also go for texture. Skin that rides like eels would be kind of cool. Yeah, good point. That's a really subtle, yeah, really subtle thing. Nice pickup. Did I just close that? I'm having a morning. Hang on. Ooh, Ernst just posted in Discord like an example of what he wants that to be in terms of like the eel-like texture. Let me bring it up on screen. Like this. Like a faded low quality tattoo. I guess it looks like it's a texture, and that's an interesting thing. I need more honey. I need plenty more honey. I just need to get like a spatula's worth of honey and I don't know. Like use it like wax or something and just get rid of all the hairs on my chest and let the honey seep into the pores. And in doing so, cure my brain fog. What am I talking about? Oh dear. You know how they have like moisturizer strips on disposable blades? I wonder if someone's ever thought of like infusing Manuka honey into those moisturizer strips. You just left how you slapped. Hmm. What other creative things could we infuse Manuka honey into? Things that don't need honey. Like, let's just conceptualize outside the box here. What has never needed honey that we should add honey to? uh. Cherubian souls. Like instead of a gel layer, it's just a layer of Manuka honey. Clotheslines run between cars with leotards dry next to socks and jeans. I wouldn't carry them lesson tree. Good. I think the end part of this really justifies all this description too. Have a look at what Nick does here with his writing. He describes like a series of images that individually are quite nice, They don't serve too much purpose in and of themselves, unless we're going to come back to them later. But what's really nice about them is that they all come together in Maxim projecting into the narration his notion of what this camp is like. And it all culminates in this last sentence here, which is really nice. So it all serves a purpose. A laminated paper arrow points me in the direction of the office, which consists of... You have to use that. Because if you use which, you need a comma, office, comma, which, laminated paper arrow points me in the direction of the office. Consists of the. If you use which, comma, which, you're talking about the paper arrow. I think. The whole which that thing is always confusing. I have a feeling it's that. Feel free to correct me on this, or that. If you feel like it should be a comma which, but I think it should be a that. Either way, it needs a little change. Consists of the stepladder leading into a DeWalt brand semi-trailer. Interior, which is craftily separated into rooms with dressers and room dividers, comma, looks like a mansion compared to the rest of the makeshift dwellings. Far down the other side, I see the glow of a lamp. Hello, I call out. This feels a little bit functional. I reckon it just needs a little bit of spice, of something within this trailer for us to visualize, rather than the layout, which is quite important. No, sorry. In addition to the layout, which is important, maybe just a sense of what one of these booths looks like. Excuse me. Which is for tangential information. That is for essential information. I've never heard that before. But sounds interesting. That's a good little distinction. Limited people into the office. Didn't both options refer to the office? Limited paper arrow points beam direction to the office, comma. Yes, actually, you're right, TTLOCC. It's, if it was here, the which that, it would refer to the arrow here. Because it's here, it's actually that. Yeah, you're right, so. In actual fact, this may be not the right suggestion. It may be a which. In which case, it needs a comma. Yeah, it's interesting that the things that you pick up and learn. I'm still not even 100% sure on the which that thing. It works in different contexts. I think as you said, yeah. I see the glow of a lamp. Hello, I call out. There's the shuffle of bedding and a lone cough. The darkness calls out, "Who's it?" "Hello, I'm here for the new job." The midget emerges into view. Atop his head is an Ebenezer Scrooge nightcap. He gives me a look like I'm some sort of in-law dropping in without warning. "It's still morning," he declares. "You asked me to be here at 8. Sorry to bother." "So sorry to bother." He squints at the sunlight, yawns, and pats at his pockets. "Got a cigarette?" Squints at the sunlight, comma... Maybe if you're going to talk about the dresses here, introduce the fact that there are windows. I imagine it as like a sort of inside of a trailer cabin, or one of those transport steel modules. Now that I think about it, it's probably more likely to be a demountable. So that makes sense. But maybe flesh it out a little more. That's a light suggestion, I guess. Ah, the doors. Okay. In that case, maybe flesh out the description of the inside a little bit more to incorporate the fact that the door casts like a sliver of light down the central shaft of the trailer or something. Yep, easy to build in. And pats in his pockets. Got a cigarette? Sorry, no, I don't smoke. I do smoke. I just don't pay for the smokes. He sits on a milk crate and steeps in disappointment for a moment while his brain wakes up. Did I really say be here at 8? Yes. I can come back though. Would you like me to come back? I feel slime under my skin as I suck up. Where else have I got to go? If there is anywhere to hide, it's a circus village. The dwarf sighs. No, I'm awake now. Another sigh indicates a hangover is blending his brain. Your name? I hadn't thought this part through. Tawny Tannerberg, says Maxim, the idiot. This only completes the picture of a psychopath actor if I'm found. In an attempt to salve, I add, but they call me Torn. This is bench, which it is brown. Yeah. Oh yeah. I can see how one would be like a throwaway incidental information, and the other would be integral to the description of the thing. Ah, that's cool. I like that. All I get in return is a gloomy head nod. He introduces himself as. I think you need a piece of grammar. No, a piece of punctuation here. Probably a colon. As Sebastian, boss, whatever. As he clicks a battery-powered lamp on, probably needs to be a full stop there. A comma instead of the full stop. Light illuminates a page 3 spread of a Merle Anderson, and I'm back in my agent's office. From one sleazy employer to the next, such is life. So, you know the basics, right? Of what? Being a clown. How could it be? Of course, I add in a reassuring chortle. You know, they say my great ancestors were court jesters of the Tudors. My mother's side of the family can be believed. My line performed for Henry VIII, right after he beheaded Anne Boleyn. Can take the blood out of a jester, but not the... Has raises the hand, and I'm saved from my storytelling. Good? We start at 1 this afternoon. That means costume on, bladder empty, no alcohol. Clara in the costume... Clara in the costume van will have your clothes. Be there early in case she needs to adjust. Go there now, actually. Tell her I'm out of cigarettes. I give him a confident nod. And where would you like me to sleep? A hearty laugh. Torn. Time to go make some friends with space to share. What? I thought this was going to be like... I thought it was going to be a picture of of a clown. I thought this was integral to the story. Ah, well done. Oh, I'm so impressed and infuriated. Whoa, who put that there? God damn it. Oh, that's the highlight of my day. It can't get any better. I'm so chuffed. That's wonderful. Can I add? Well done. That's really clever. Can I add a caption to this? Alt text. Oh, okay. Wow, such amazing value. Where do I sign up? And the answer is, of course, squarespace.com. You need yourself a website? You need yourself a shave? Crunchyroll, that's where you go. For all of your shaving and web design needs. Where is the alt text? Like, does it come up when you hover over it? Oh, it just vanishes. Anyway. Crunchy shave space. We need not talk about the costume fitting. I'll leave it at Clara the costume, which being very unimpressed about spending her morning having to sew a more lax belly onto the clown suit, I opted to skip breakfast. Okay, let's go back and see if there's anything we need to delete. Can't delete this. This is part of the story. Job, in-law, and I don't think I can suggest anything. I think the dialogue's good. The tags are fine. I get a sense from the context of um, how Baz speaks and behaves, and I don't think I can suggest too much. Beeswax shoe insoles to me. Oh, you beat me to it. Ah, next you've got to patent the idea though. That idea is it's quality patent material. The healing powers of Manuka honey rising up through your souls, into your soul. Ah, I was waiting for the honey. I don't think you can patent Manuka honey. I think it's definitely beyond reach. But no one's patented Manuka honey insole yet. Give it time. I don't think there's anything here I can suggest too much. This is a very neat way of condensing a scene that happens. We can skip over it, but there's an emotional weight to it. This is good, and I wonder if we can make it stronger. But the thing about tinkering with scenes like this 2-sentence, 3-sentence scene here, is that the more you add to it, the less impact it has. It's really nice that it is. It's really nice that it's so short and sweet. That makes it more impressive. Being very unimpressed about being like sunset, I opted to skip breakfast. See, what we could do is we could say, or Maxim can say that insulted, I opted to skip breakfast, and insulted could be like a description of him feeling insulted. But it's kind of implied. So maybe we can leave it. A trio of tired hunchbacks toast their fingers around the barrel fire. It's still chilly enough to fog my breath, but they're passing around a bottle. Upon one man's shoulder is a pet rat. He bites a nib off his apple and hands it to his vermin pal. The irony of being the only actual homeless one in a troop isn't lost on me. Onwards and friendwards, Maxim. Onwards and friendwards, Maxim. I mosey over like a curious cat, bringing their conversation to an abrupt end. All eyes on me, including that of the rat. Hello, I waved a smile. Niklam, torn. I could perform a smile in return, but none at me, to each other. Rat Shoulder is the first to respond. He offers a hand and speaks in a low Afrikaans hum. I'm not gonna do an Afrikaans accent. Welcome to the chopping block. Don't stand too close to that fire, He earns the roar of laughter from the congregation. I don't get it. Laughing to himself, he takes a final bite of his apple before tossing it into the inferno. He introduces himself as Ubuntu before pointing toward a man in a Liverpool FC beanie. This is Tony, he gestures toward the beanie. He sticks with us because he likes losers. Ah, fuck up, grumbles Tony. Then, he then points to a stout man with uneven eyelids. Eyelads. Woo! Eyelads. One thing I'll stop and suggest is, maybe an article change. Can we change A to the? What does this do? It's a slight inflection change. I don't know, Nick, if this was intentional, using an indefinite article versus a definite article. What changes if you swap the articles around? This re-solidifies the fact that there are 3 of them and that they each have specific places in this scene. If it's A, these people could be either beside him or elsewhere. Switching it to V makes it more direct, I think. Not intentional. Okay, cool. Change it to V then. You lose nothing by doing it, and you gain a definite sense that there are three characters. There's a middle one, and he's introducing these two, and they are the V's there. Nice. Thank you. He cups a little brown bottle in his hands like a warm drink. Logie, Ubuntu hands him a stage whisper. He's from Scotland, so he's always sipping whiskey. Logie chimes in, show me the bottle. Don't listen to him, it's antacid. Babeless too much last night. Says Ubuntu. Loser lover Tony reaches out to Logie for a swig of Gaviscon. Too fucking cold out, he mutters to nobody. We've got three characters here. Rat Shoulder. Tony from Liverpool. And Logie from Scotland. Okay, cool. I think I followed that through. I hadn't thought of what kind of person my new persona is, so for lack of wanting anything interesting to say, I throw in a nice to meet you. The rat skid is done Ubuntu's sleeve. This is Mouse. That's a rat, isn't it? But she looks like a mouse, hmm? Ubuntu offers his hand to Mouse like a little bridge. Tell us about yourself. When a good writer creates a character for the stage, the playwright should know them as they know their best friend, their quirks, their passions, past lovers, favourite food, folder / scruncher, and greatest fears. I know none of these, Tawny. I know none of these of Tawny Tannerburg. So I make do with what I can. I was a photojournalist, but I put that behind me. Just got back from Zaire. Gave it all up though. Wanted to spend more time with the family. Oh no, Maxim, oh no. So where are they? Asked Logie, shining a fat spotlight on my bluff. Well, would you believe it? They've gone on a holiday. Gone all around the continent to meet old relies in all four corners of Europe. You see, my wife Cordelia, her family is scattered all over the place, a bit like the royal family. One great aunt in Luxembourg is on her way out. A fourth cousin or something has just had a baby. Madness, not for me. I've had enough travelling, I told her. So you joined the fucking travelling circus. Loser lover Tony's brows cross. So you never done any circus stuff before? Adds Logie. It's like a bloody interrogation. I'm gonna stop there. What was I gonna say? Tony's introduced as a loser lover here. But the thing I keep remembering about him is he's wearing a Liverpool FC beanie. Sometimes this may just be me. Maybe people in excuse me. If people in the chat could also give their opinion on this, that'd be good too. I remember the beanie more than I remember the fact that he's a loser lover, and the fact that I remember one over the other means that this is perhaps a bit too distracting. I like that detail, but I fixated on it so much that I was waiting for it to come back. Maybe this is a case where giving your readers too much of a character at once means that they don't remember the salient detail. So, I remember... what I'm suggesting here is that make the salient physical feature about Tony either his beanie or his loser lover, which is more of an emotional tag. Um, and in doing that, what you'll do is make it a bit easier down the track when Tony is reintroduced as the loser lover, that it's the character with the beanie, rather than it being like a two-step thing. You know what I mean? Cool. Just talking here quickly, Ernst, about Tony's character. He's introduced as the loser lover constantly down here, but the feature that I remember about him always is his Liverpool FC beanie. So in my head, it's like, who's Tony again? Who? So I go, who's the loser lover? Oh, it's Tony. Who's Tony? Oh, it's the guy with the beanie. So I'm doing two stages here. Maybe get rid of the FC Liverpool FC marker, and that makes his beanie more throwaway. And then I will remember Tony more as the loser lover. Yeah, how far back in the story was the introduction made? So it's quite it's constant hereafter. That's actually a really good point, Mookie MC. The more distance you place between the presence of that physical marker or of the emotional marker, and when it's referred to again next, is really important. In fact, do it earlier rather than later. I think Ernst does it early enough here. It's just the fact that there are two of them and I have to link them in my head. Okay, it's like a bloody interrogation. Well, also let me know if this is too small for you guys to read. Well, travelling a bit closer to home's not the same as living in a tent by the Congo River, you see. I don't mind travelling, but don't get me wrong. I just wanted a change of pace and career. Always wanted to be a clown, you know? Ever since I was a kid, I continued on for a good 5 minutes, turning tawny Chinaberg into a flesh-and-bone human. I told them of Afghan insurgents and rickshaws in China, hints of family wealth, and turning down journalist awards. All the while, the men lap it up. Ubuntu carries the this impressed smirk, and his rat climbs a never-ending hand staircase. Sold. When I finish up, Ubuntu tells me he's also a clown, a senior clown to be precise, and informs me that newly minted red noses learn the ropes as wandering pre-show entertainment. Logi's a fire breather, which Ubuntu jokes that he doesn't need fire fluid on account of his drinking habit. Good, because Logi's thing was his antacid drinking, so we remember that it's alcoholic. Tony stays quiet, but I get that he maintains the animal pens. I hear of a tiger named Percy that lives under constant sedation, and a rumor that a trapezist named Sally did the dirty with a 1 foot long porky in the storeroom. Finally, the quip about the fire is cleared up. The previous clown, only referred to as that asshole Clive, didn't elect to leave the troop. Rather, his wig was set aflame by an airborne match, which he casually flicked over his shoulder and into his wig. After the plastic surgeons had finished with that asshole Clive, he was considered a liability to the circus's image. After a while, Tony wanders off to go give Percy his tiger's attacks. Luigi complains about the overcast skies for a bit whilst Ubuntu rolls his eyes. More entertainers begin to crawl out of their hovels, bleary-eyed and scraggly, and go about their morning routines. In civilian clothes, they just look like any other actor, really. What was I expecting? I gather that there is some sort of food tent over at the back of the field as people return with mugs of tea and bowls of soggy cereal. Loki leaves to join the queue, leaving me with Ubuntu, Mouse, and an uncertain sense of where to go. That is a niche reference. Wow. Wow. You can drop it in. Like, keep it in and then get Maxim to comment on it directly. Because Maxim would probably have an understanding of Liverpool FC having what must have been a pretty shit year. That's kind of cool detail. I like that. Why don't you explain it? Yeah, give your reader a sense of background there. Just in my opinion, I prefer one significant marker and then a revisit of that same marker than I do juggling around multiple ones. Yep. I'm in agreement with Mookie MC, I think. Yep. No, I completely agree, and I think that was a good summary of what I was trying to say as well. Excuse me. So yeah, no, that made complete sense, and I think that should be applied here as well. I'll let Ernst have a bit of a play with that and see what he comes up with. Um. I like this section here because it's a very good tell. It wraps everything up. But it feels a bit sluggish, and maybe it's because the quality and the motion of the whole story has been so fluid and so concise. When we get to a section like this where it's more declarative, it's not so much that it feels misplaced, but it's out of place. That's a bit cryptic. What am I trying to say? This is a style that we're not used to seeing in this story, and it comes at us the first time. It's good. Maybe it's a bit jarring. I don't know. Just in terms of how it's not bad, but it's a tell. And I wonder if it shouldn't be trimmed. Attempt to have it powered off. Oh no. You'll have to watch an ad before you can come back into the stream. An ad for, say, a Manuka honey infused shave. Now I'm not saying that the Dollar Shave Club will not provide that for you, but do they really give you the smooth shave that you so desire? Wouldn't you rather be slathering pure New Zealand Manuka honey all over your face and just shaving that off? Clean, smooth, antibacterial, a bit sticky, but I mean, the Dollar Shave Club can't provide that for you. The Lyrebird Shave Club, on the other hand. The Lyrebird Shave Club. I'm not sure what to suggest here. I like the story about that asshole Clive. And I like the fact that these characters are fleshed out. The portion seems a little more thick. What context is your comment here at Rider SG? An extra spool of string. Just imagine trying to trim your beard with a weird whacker. I think Mookie MC's observation is important here because even within the context of a story, if it comes across as thick, I'm gonna make a descriptor of your honey. Oh. I don't know what to comment about this without digging myself into a huge hole. We're gonna let it slide. Similarities. Oh gosh. Have a think about have a think about whether this detail can be demonstrated later on in the narrative, or if it's best served here as a tell block. I like it, don't get me wrong, I just... live asleep in... Oh no! No. Ugh. What has this stream become? Just a cesspit. Cesspool? A cess something, a cess lake. It's a cess lake, okay? And also, why are there two commas here in your gigantic ellipsis? Jesus Christ. PTLACCs, just pithy summary there. Oh dear, let's get back to the edit. I don't not like this section, but maybe some of these details can be demonstrated a bit later. As they're actually doing their jobs, maybe. Come back to... Whereas this provides a sense of motion. This paragraph also tells a lot of detail, but it actually pushes the story forward, where here we get little snippets of who they are as characters, which is good, but I feel like we can have it demonstrated to us, maybe. I think that's probably my best suggestion here. Read through it again and see if you agree. I tried to say something to my new acquaintance, but he beats me to the bill. You aren't no photojournalist, he says. We'll have to offer you in return is silence. If you're running from something, you're in the right place. Everyone's a runner here. You tell us you got dirt, we pretend we heard nothing. But if you go around telling lies, he motions around the grounds. Nobody forgets him. I let out a little quaky, okay. The bird's face snaps into a big toothy smile and pats me on the shoulder. He. If you don't have a he there, then his face pats him on the shoulder. Also, I recommend full stop. So serious tone. Relax, you have a family here if you want it. Breakfast waits, find me tonight. Stucked. I don't know any Afrikaans. That's okay. Good luck. He guides Mouse into his flannelette pocket and treks off through the mud. How many fugitives am I among? How many accused? How many victims? How many innocent? Aside from hiding from the legal system, the benefit of clown makeup is that you can leave your dignity locked away whilst you carry on like a fool for the masses. Maxim the Younger, I hate to say it, but I enjoyed it. Ubuntu decided that my clown name was to be Mooney Mustard and assigned me to balloon duty. The morning's work, learning the zoology of balloon animals, had me ready to turn a balloon snake into a balloon dog, cat, and giraffe. Tip, they're all the same, just with different sized necks. I was stationed... I like that. I was stationed at the entrance, beside the van selling overpriced rations, and instructed to only approach those who had already... I'm gonna get rid of those alreadys. Those who had already offloaded their precious pounds on food. As it turns out, popcorn is more profitable than blood diamonds. Nice. Good. This is a return back to the form of the previous part too. Not to say that the first part of this wasn't good too, but what this does well, and the start of the story did well too in this part, was that it drives the motion of the story forward, it provides detail, it's good. Maybe they're in Southern Afrikaans. And so I became Maxim, the undercover fugitive, Tawny Tannerberg, the clown, Mooney Mustard. And so the drowning, bloated, nose-picking, flatulating, and ever-whinging London folk, and their giddy offspring set upon us. The fleet of strollers storming the gates and trekking over the mud was reminiscent of archival footage of a second war, the children unleashing themselves and screaming like kamikaze pilots as they tripped into the sodden earth. Soon the little militants breached the arcade stalls and lolly wagons, the arsenal of Daddy's wallet, the arsenal of Daddy's wallet, struggling to keep up with the demand. Mooney Mustard was all the rage, the quartermaster of rubber companions. A handful of fathers made the crack about me having a rubber handy before standing awkwardly as I replied, "Yes, indeedy." Good. And Taipei younglings a balloon friend. That's perfect. Really, really good because I'll point out something here that I really like. The quartermaster of rubber companions. Okay, so on the same string of this cesspool of a common thread that we've been having, my mind immediately leapt to prophylactics. Just in the way that this is worded here, and then this sentence delivers upon my gutter mind. It's really clever. I love this tiny little bait here, and then delivered as an actualized idea. It's a really clever thing to do. Yeah. Love it. What do you mean here, Outrider SG? Just wanna have a check of something too. Younglings. London offspring. Yep, that's fine. Oh. Oh, lyrics. Oh my goodness. I know the chorus. I heard this song last week in New Zealand as well. New Zealand has very, very bad radio coverage, so we were constantly cycling through the whole stream of Spectra trying to get any reception. And Africa came on. Um, I know the start, I know the chorus, nothing else. I am scum. I need some Manuka honey for my brain so I can get more lyrics absorbed into the grey matter. One rogue mother went as far as to ask what else these handsome pug could do. She then left her son with a handful of shrapnel and made for the fortune teller caravan. But I didn't realise I'd actually been having fun until I added the phrase uh, "kidlywinks" in reference to a couple of beaming twins waiting for their matching inflated pets. From the time that Tony Tannenberg could bury his missing stage father, I'd empty my pockets of rubber sackules, put 100 smiles on little faces, and found myself feeling quite elated. I want a definition of this word. I've never seen it before. Saccule. Oh, it's a biological term. Small sac, pouch, or cyst. I'm tempted to go images, but I probably won't. I'll do it over here where you can't see it. Yep, good call. Good call, Lyrebird. High five for myself. Because there's some biological stuff here. And a pug. What's that pug doing there? Anyway. It's like the opening of a laryngeal muscle. It's I suppose it's tube is what you translate it as into non-biological terms. But because we've got the zoology theme going, I think that's quite cool. Like karaoke time. No, absolutely not. Unless you pay me. No, don't pay me. Um, put 100 smiles on the faces and found myself feeling quite elated. Um, I felt as if I'd done something. I felt as if I'd done something more than leave a theatre depressed. An entirely different world. People go to a theatre to feel above themselves, to feel angry at the mundane, or to be analytical and nuanced, to pontificate and profess and drone and drone and drone, but never to truly enjoy themselves. Turn that into a comma, because that's not a separate idea. It's a single idea. By comparison, the circus felt honest. There's no subversion or masturbatory monologuing for art's sake. The first time I felt as if I offloaded something. Uh, I feel as if I offloaded something. I feel as if I'd offloaded something raw. And then I got paid. An hour's pay for an hour's work doesn't impress, but doesn't shirk. It's not like Tawny Tannerberg has any bills, nor can I risk leaving my big top prison. I am Maxim the Buddhist monk, bound to live by modesty and cereal luncheons for the food tent, or from the food tent. Yeah, again, I think this is really smooth. I don't think there's anything here I can suggest too much. Um, because it drives the scene forward too. It's told in a bit of a detached sense. Um, Sometimes, like with hmm, how to put this? Actually, no, I don't think it is detached. I think it's laden with this really interesting imagery, with the war imagery, the balloon imagery that comes down here. Yeah, I think it's good. The emotional tag at the end. Yeah, let's plow on. I think I'm gonna have another half hour, and I'll stop a bit after 11. I've got a bit to do today. Let me go grab water real quickly, so my throat doesn't close over. Okay, let's start from here again. I think if you want to watch the first couple of so 1, 2, and 4. I think we've done part 1, 2, and 4 of this story, Mookie MC. If you want to watch those, they're on YouTube. This is part 2 of part 4. So looks like it says part 2, but there are 4 stories in this novel called Solera. It's a collection of these sort of novelettes. This is part 2 of one of these parts. Um, hmm. Part 1 dealt with a girl living in turn of the century Spain who was being married off. Part 3, was it? No, part 5 um, was with the cognitive scientist, the artificial intelligence researcher, and her sort of family problems slash AI problems. This is part 4 of Maxim. This has been the most colourful part, I think, in terms of how the characters influencing the narration style. I think my favourite part so far has been Isabel. Isabel? The Spanish girl. Or maybe it was the air one. I'm not sure. They've all been really good. They've all been really good so far. So Ernst says, the alchemy scene is one I'm uncertain about the dialogue. Okay, let's dive in and see. Whilst the circus wears on, I have my lunch. I'm sitting on a spare tire behind the mass of dwellings, staring at a couple of naval cornflakes navigate the ocean of milk. Oh, okay, he's looking down to his lunch. Sorry, I don't know why I didn't pick that up. I'm sitting on a spare tire behind the mass of dwellings, staring at a couple of naval cornflakes navigate the ocean of milk, when a shadow out the corner of my eye asks me an incomprehensible question. No, Jerry? A woman is dressed in a fitted robe of black, accented in gems and beads of all mystic colours. Her hair a mesh of loose auburn ringlets that, when combined with her thick eyeshadow, enshroud a pale and freckled face. She wouldn't look out of place hunched over a crystal ball, but a thick Scotty accent derails the image. You what? Nay, not I, Fladdy. You all know Jerry. No food. Did she see this in a crystal ball? She's talking Polari, which I thought was a dead lingo. She's a thoroughbred entertainer pedigree. My confusion must register with her because she takes a seat on a crate opposite me and continues, no one turns up without a pack, so I want to sent me out to come find you. What's up with that? Not even a backpack? More bloody interrogation. I'd have got less if I just knocked on the cop shop door. Well, you see, I left my luggage on the bus. Silly mistake, really. Yeah, I'd say. From within the big top, the show continues. Thick tuba music snorts, and people laugh. She rolls a cigarette around her lips, coating it in lipstick, before introducing herself as Arabelle. It means she who prays too much. She follows this with a single chuckle and offers me a snoke, a vogue, as they apparently call them in Polari. Why not? You're a fortune teller, I ask? A smirky reply, during working hours. You've no Jerry. Good, that makes more sense in my head now, no food. Two suggestions here. No food, no shoes, no blah blah blah, 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 blah. And then she's talking about possessions. That would help the reader understand intuitively what a Jerry is. Second thing to suggest is she's talking Polari. Polari is forced here, and I don't like it. Says Herringbone. I'm actually not familiar with what Polari is. Oop, out comes Google. I may know. Oh. Polari is a form of cant slang used in Britain by some actors, circus and fairground showmen, professional wrestlers, merchant navy sailors, criminals, prostitutes, and the gay subculture. That's a very, very colourful mixture of people. There we go. Cant slang is the jargon or argot of a group often employed to exclude or mislead people outside the group. I have no idea of what to suggest. Okay, so it's an obfuscated language. Hmm. There you go. I didn't know that. That's a super interesting little fact. Wow. Okay, so how do we incorporate this a bit better? He's talking Polari, which I thought was a dead lingo. Um, hmm. Seems like there's a rich... Maxim... Maxim needs to brush it aside. Maybe the biggest problem isn't so much that she's speaking Polari, but in how Maxim reacts to it. Maxim's response is, oh yeah, it's Polari. And then they kind of just move forward a bit. And then she slips out of Polari. Back into regular talk. Maybe what you could do is get Maxim to describe how he knows what Polari is. So I think that's probably the best thing to do. Maybe get Maxim to tell the reader, so demonstrate how he knows what this is. By name. Like, it's not just she's speaking weirdly, she's not, and it's not, oh, she's speaking in a language I don't understand. Maxim goes straight for, bam, it's Polari. Like, he knows quick that it's Polari, which is demonstrated here. And if that's the case, then we need to know how it is that Maxim knows. That's probably the key, I think. Not so much that she's speaking Polari, but in how Maxim takes it. And that's my impression. Yeah, I'd be really interested to listen to it. It sounds kind of cool. Huh. We've got, yeah, this suggestion that I had up here with no food is actually doubled down here. Uh, Actually, maybe I'll get rid of this suggestion here because it's actually reinforced here. Yeah, you see, so Avogue, as they apparently call them in Polari. Um, so here we understand that Maxim has rudimentary knowledge. But we're not shown why or what significance this has. I think that's probably why it feels a bit out of place too. Let's keep reading and see if it sort of resolved itself. Oh, J equals food. Okay. Okay. Interesting. I thought they were different. You've no Jerry. Full stop, no food. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I get that impression too. Now that I reread it. Let's push on. I feel like I need to read more of it and get a sense of where it's going. During working hours, we puff away in silence while I try to decipher the meaning of her statement. Also, what is a flatty? Something funny happens inside the big tent, and it's a roar of laughter and applause erupts. You done with your milk bowl? She asks as she taps ash into my cereal. I give her a cool yeah and dust off my own fag. I want to ask her how I can get a place to sleep. I want to ask her how I can get a place to sleep, but I don't want to come across as asleep just by how hard Maxim the Fox nudges my ribs. Instead, I produce an inability statement. Didn't really come planned at all, really, just got here this morning. She shakes her head to herself, wiggling the cigarette around her lips. Dickhead. I'm gonna put a full stop. Dickhead. Is that a flatty? You need a bed, she clarifies. For a moment, a groundswell of desperate hope grows, but then she continues, got no room for you, got no room in my van for you, but no doubt Loki still has his old tent. Oh, thanks. The conversation turns to roadkill as our cigarettes smoulder and shorten. It's this ever-present niggling that I don't belong here. I'm a varnished stage actor, used to dressing rooms and hotel lobbies. The safety of predictable audiences at comfortable distances, and life run by a script. Being green is transparency. I'll show you around while you tell me your tale torn, Abel says, and under the harsh eyes of a Scottish mystic, I feel naked. That's good. I like that little sort of interjectory style of conclusion there. One thing I will note from a developmental sense is that contrasts with the last ending section where he feels I just remember the last section ending with Maxim feeling sort of relieved and engaged that he was doing something different with his life. And then here, this little section ends with if he then feels fake and transparent. That contradiction in emotion doesn't need to be fixed in as much as it needs to be played up and worked in. I feel as though it's quite a human thing to do, is to lurch into a new idea and then immediately think, oh, what am I doing here? It's called partly the imposter syndrome. That's one aspect of it. A good example is scientists often get this. The deeper into science you get as a science student, like into the honours, the masters, the PhD level, the more that students begin to feel like they're imposters, like they try something that they like, and they like it, they do more of it, but then the more they get into it, the more they realize, oh, hang on, I really don't know much. Then you start to undermine yourself. You start to compare yourself to other people, like, oh, they know more than me, I'm fake, I'm a pretender, what am I doing here, I don't deserve to be here, all those sorts of like nebulous thoughts. So this kind of contradiction, it seems, where Maxim starts off feeling okay and then immediately goes, oof, that's quite normal. Thank you, Herringbone. Also, yeah, personal note for you as a scientist too. If you ever get to that stage where you find yourself feeling as though you're not intellectually capable of doing what it is that you're doing, just remember that almost everyone else will have that same thought in their heads too. I had it for a while, and then I learned not to care. Science is very ego-crushing, which is good, I think. But there's also another name for it as well. The perception of how much you know versus your actual expertise in the field. Maybe if one of you guys know what I'm talking about, it's a graph that's like, the more you know about something, the less confident you feel that you know things about that thing. I think let's push on with this. Ooh. Yikes, that's quite sad. What to say? I think that's it's more common than we give credit for. I sort of feel like a lot of times in life we constantly compare ourselves and our abilities to what other people project that they're feeling, but the sense of vulnerability that we don't show other people and that other people don't show to you is missing from the whole equation. I feel like a lot of our expectations of who we are as people is so much predicated on how other people operate. In a very filtered sense, like we don't see the doubt, the failures, the mistakes of other people, we just see their successes, and we feel as though we're never going to quite reach up to their level. I guess the biggest thing I can recommend is just to keep doing what you feel like you love doing and enjoy doing, and don't be afraid to be wrong. I think those two things in concert, um, and learning how to learn from your mistakes too, and not um, placing too much stock in the perception of yourself, like the ego. I think it's helpful to slowly break down your ego a bit. It helped with me too. Like um, when you do a master's project and you realize that you know very little about what it is that you think that you know a lot about, and someone takes you to town and they're like, "Look, here's where you're wrong. A, B, C, D, E, F, G," and you're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I am wrong." And then you learn how to not take that to heart. You just go forward. And that applies to all sorts of things. Dunning-Kruger effect. Thank you to TLACC. Exactly. I didn't mean to just segue. Well, you brought out my emotions there. Why don't we play one? Yeah, Dunning-Kruger effect. There's a really good bloop, 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 bloop. It's a really great sort of chart of it too. This one. Like, the more you know about a field versus how confident you feel. I'm stupid. Yeah. But this is really true. Like, beware people who are very confident but are obviously very green when it comes to expertise. This is a really useful demonstration of ego and intellect. Yeah, so ego and intellect. I'm probably about here on the whole psychology thing, but yeah. If you ever catch yourself being a bit too egotistical, just keep this in mind and be like, oh, actually, do I really know stuff about what I think I know? It's useful. It's useful for making you a more critical thinker of yourself. Dunning-Kruger effect. Sip from me. How I learned to stop worrying and love the minion. There was a time in my life where I believed everything occurred by some sort of unknowable, divine, and possibly benevolent guidance. This is an Oxford comma thing, so I'm not going to comment on it. It's fine. There's a grammatical argument about whether or not this is correct, and it's been going on for ages. I think it's fine if we skip this one. It gets the point across. Living on the poverty line typically beats that out of you. However, in my formative years, I was Maxim the believer, or more appropriately, Maxim the double-dipping agnostic. I was I was an obligatory Catholic under mother's insistence, but it was father's letters of religion in the heart of Africa which roused my imagination. That roused my imagination. The cosmologies vary by region, but father continuously came by beliefs in spiritual continuity, where departed spirits manifest again in new life. Spiritual recycling, if you will. Grandfather's soul could inhabit anybody now, he once said. I don't throw rocks at Mr. Quincy. It only really struck me now as Arabelle guides me by the animal pens. He too grew up without a father. He never seemed a superstitious man, but he was searching for his wayward spirit. But was he searching for his wayward spirit in someone else? His name's Satchmo, Arabelle says, stroking the iron bars between us and the leathery grey beast. The elephant stands silent on a bed on so this is why you mentioned elephant before. Team Oxford, there you go. See, this is part of the Oxford comma. I haven't made up my mind about it. I'm gonna go and research it and come back with an answer next stream about the Oxford comma. The elephant stands silent on a bed of sodden straw and scattered pats. The stench. His trunk forms a sad J that ends in wiry hairs. Ivory stumps stand in for tusks. A listless stare studies the side of a lorry wall. A listless stare studies the side of the lorry wall. Here Satchmo honk only at Duval's. A caricature painting of Satchmo cradles a trumpet in his trunk, or with his trunk. Goofy smile and big top backdrop. But what strikes me most is his torn ear, which isn't pictured on the painting. The torn ear of Father's eulogic postcard. I have seen this elephant before. This is obviously something that carries over from one of the other stories here, and I can't make too much of a comment about how well it links or gels or what kind of emotional response it gives. I'll comment here about the elephant. The elephant kind of pops into the scene. No, actually, it's not really popping it. The elephant kind of rolls into this scene. We don't really start off. But rather a... We don't start off with a block description of the elephant in the cage. The elephant in the room. Ah, very good. Very good. Rather than declaring the elephant up here and describing it, it's kind of down here. And because of this emotional lean-in, it kind of links in with something that happens in another story. This is perfectly fine. And something that you can use to your advantage. Later on, oh, not later on, right now, to link in this scene with the previous story info. Just something to keep in mind, I think. Part 1 he talks about the postcard he got sent from Africa. I remember that part, yeah, which is poorly written English describing that his father is now dead. I remember that. Okay. Right, so it's actually going back to part 1. I wonder if it's not too oblique. The elephant significance of a story before this, his father's. It looks like a little brain slug, that one. I wonder if this isn't too... Ooh. Ooh. Ah. Perhaps this is... to solidify the... I'd suggest expanding it. Just some slow paced detail. It kind of comes and goes in a hurry, and because it's such a... It's a great linked detail, but I feel like it's too short. Maybe just add some more here, drag it out a little bit more, milk it out a little bit more. Just a bit, that's my suggestion. In doing so, what that will help with is solidifying in the reader's mind that this is an important linker, that this is something that you're trying to reintroduce with an emotional weight behind it. Too long, and it becomes overblown. Too short, and the effect isn't realized. There's a happy middle ground, I think. And I remember when we were working with Solera and... sorry, part 1, with the Spanish girl. There were a couple of points in that story too where I just wanted a little bit more, where the effect of a scene was there in my head, but I wanted to feel it more by reading more. I think this is one of those areas. I still have the postcard. Its rainbow surface had faded on Mother's windowsill. but its image is branded in my brain. So even though it continues here, I'd still recommend just something a little more here before you get there. A grey pup framed by a hulking herd, dipping into the waters of the Congo. It's that same frayed tear. Arabella offers a hand out to Satchmo, who sniffs at her bangles. He doesn't actually play the trumpet. The real one is microphoned up to someone behind the scenes. Also, I'm a tiny bit confused about where everything is. I just need a bit more. Here is this, here is that. The scene. That's all I'd suggest here. Where did he come from? Arabelle, focused on sad Satcho, ignores my question. She hushes him and strokes his trunk. I should have bought you a little treat, old Satchmo. Where's he from? Oh, who knows? Been here for years. He beckons, come. He's a gentle giant. The baby elephant is in journalist shutter. Its older image in a circus cage. Decades and distance separate these moments. Belief is knowledge that a road spans between instances. A faith that this meeting is connected to that image on a Mobius strip. A grey pup framed by a hulking herd. Whether it be the dream of the universal consciousness, the will of ancestral spirits. Whether it be the dream of universal consciousness, the will of ancestral spirits, spun into the looms of fate by the man on the mountaintop, or plan of his divinity, bears a certainty that this moment is no coincidence. That tumbles into itself really nicely. I would suggest replacing that with a comma. It's my only suggestion there. This is quite difficult, and I think should purposely be so. It's a complicated idea that's condensed down and it runs into itself really neatly. Sedgemo's trunk sniffles along my forearm. There, says Arabelle. The question burns. What's fate to you? I ask the mystic, and she scoffs. Here we bloody go. An uncertain silence. Business hours only, flatty. Fate's whatever you fool yourself with. But you're a fortune teller. She taps her pocket with a coiny jingle. Masters for answers, Tawny. It's a job. I like how that kind of just cuts and undermines itself there. Alrighty, I might actually call it there for today. I gotta get ready and go off fairly soon. And I think my voice needs a rest. Anything to suggest about that last part? I like how it all comes together. I want a tiny bit more elephant. I want the scene to unfold a bit more we've got the emotional time here at the start, but then I think the physical may be a bit lacking. I can still imagine it. I just want the scene to be grounded in a bit more of a place, like where they really are. Are they beside the lorry? Sure, but giving a bit more of a physical sense would help to ground that emotional icing that's being pushed over this scene. That's what I suggest here. Have a think about how you might like to do that. Wash your sneeze hands on the stream. Just coughing. But yes, you're right. I should still wash my hands. And not rub them all over you. Digitally. Get it? With my digits. I'm sorry. Thank you, Herringbone. Thank you for giving me part 2. I think we're about halfway through it. It's been a really smooth edit. The things that I've been suggesting are more or less just little bits of cleanup and development, but I'm interested to see where it goes. And I think it's a really nice continuation from where we picked off last time. So thank you for showing me this. We'll continue it on Thursday. And thank you for everyone else who joined. It's been a pleasure streaming again. I missed it when I was away. I was like, oh, I'd be streaming now if I was back home. So yeah, it's good to be back in the swing of things, and thank you for rejoining me. I'll give you some photos of my New Zealand trip in Discord a bit later today, okay? Until then, hope you have a good Saturday evening or Sunday morning, wherever you are, and we'll catch you on Thursday. Bye! Thank you, it's good to be back. Thank you for joining. Catch you later.